Hey everybody, now this may be a redundant video if you see my other videos on this topic, but why is it whenever a tragedy happens, nobody blames the parents? They always look for another scapegoat. They look for music, preferably rap or rock or another inflammatory type of music. Or they look at comics, or they look at video games. Video games is the new fucking rap music or rock music. It's the new scapegoat. It's the scapegoat of the 21st century. When something bad happens, it's the games. It's not the shitty parenting. It's not the neglectful parents that caused this to happen. No, it is the video games that the kid played to use as a way to escape from the shitty life he was living. Now, as you can probably tell from the way I look, I was the center of many a ridicule during my high school and middle school careers. That is pretty fucking evident that I was a big target, in more ways than one. And I used other tools as a way to express myself other than violence. I used poetry. I used that as a medium to express my pent-up frustrations at the world. I used video games as a good way to express my feelings in a very non-violent way, but in a violent medium. Video games are a very good way to work out those feelings that you have that you don't want to use on a human being. There's games like Call of Duty where you're fighting against humans, but they're people who are threatening you. Now, that's not a good way to get rid of your harsh and very pent-up feelings. Video games are not a good option. Now, if you're feeling very frustrated, or you're feeling ostracized, or you're feeling alienated through whatever's going on in high school, middle school, don't resort to video games as a way to escape from the world, because you can lose perspective sometimes between video games and the real world. Especially if the game is fairly realistic, like Call of Duty 4, all the Call of Duty games and stuff like that. And I've mentioned this in other videos where I think that GTA 4 is getting too realistic and that's a problem because that is a game where you're supposed to suspend belief, but the realism in which the game takes place doesn't allow you to suspend belief because it takes place in such a real environment that if you're a young person, cannot disconnect sometimes from that game world to the real world. And you may act out, however stupidly it is, act out what you do in a game in real life. And that's why I don't advocate using video games as a way to escape. Now, writing poetry, writing songs, music is a very good way. Now, I've only had experience with writing poetry and stories to get out my repressed feelings. Anger, sadness, depression are very good muses for some of the best poetry ever written. And some of the best stories ever written. As I've said before in other videos, I'm writing a book right now that is loosely based on my life. And it's a way of me working out things that have happened in my life that have been traumatic. Now, granted, I've only had a couple things that have been traumatic in my life. Getting hit by a car is traumatic. Able exploding is traumatic, but that's not a lot of things to write a book about, so I'm going to have to embellish, and I've done that in the book that I'm writing. But a lot of my poetry was written when I've been in a dark, dark place. The Phoenix Flies is a very good example of that, because it's a very dark poem written around a very dark time in the national conscience. A lot of my poetry is very, very dark. I may do more videos where I do more of my poetry, where I've done videos with my poetry, and as you can tell if you go looking for my poetry, it is very dark sometimes, and that's because I was at a very dark place when I was writing Books are also a very good way to escape from reality without ever actually hurting anybody, because with a book you can place yourself in that character's shoes and portray that as, and imagine yourself in their shoes doing what they're doing in the book, which is a very good way to escape from reality. But escaping from reality is not even that really good of a coping mechanism, because you don't face your problems head on. You shirk from those problems and you don't face them. And you just let them bottle up and bottle up and bottle up. And you don't release them and you don't talk to someone. Now, the best way to get out repressed anger or repressed feelings that you've been having that you don't know how to release is go to someone who you trust, or go to a psychotherapist or someone of that nature and just go and talk to them. It doesn't have to be someone you know. It doesn't have to be someone who knows details about your life. It could be just someone who you know that won't spread about what you say. And I say you go to a psychologist or a psychoanalyst because they are bound by strict rules not to release what you say to people. And you can vent your frustration, and I've done this on a number of occasions where I've just had to vent on someone and talk about things that I'm not comfortable talking about people who are close to me. And that is the very best way to deal with things that may not be going right in your life, is to go to someone and talk to them. Get your feelings known to someone. Now, I suggest going to your family so that way they can help you in other ways by being a support structure. In that you can go to them, and if something's got you riled up or saddened, you can go to them and say, I'm feeling really down on myself today. I don't know why, but someone said something to me, and just go on about something that is making you sad or feel regretful that day. And that is sort of the reason why I want to become a psychologist, because I want to help people deal with things that are really troublesome in their lives. Now, as I've said in the beginning of this video, I am someone who is picked on a lot. So I've had to deal with that firsthand, and that's maybe one of the clienteles that I want to have, is someone who needs to vent on someone, or needs to talk something out, or talk something through with someone. That'll be me when I grow up. I'll be someone can come to me and say, "Can I please talk to you? I can't talk to anybody else. Please come help me." Just be there and be a shoulder to cry on. Be a person to vent. Someone who you can talk to. If you take anything away from this video, because it's a fairly serious video, and it's a very serious video if you look at the other tones of my videos, this is a fairly serious video. Now, if you're feeling anger or sadness, go talk to someone. Don't let that get bottled up. Go talk to someone. And another good way to keep yourself from feeling too down or too happy is tell someone, if I'm getting really down on myself, tell me a very true statement about myself, so that way it'll lift my spirits, and I know that I'm not as bad as I think I am. On the same token, if someone's feeling way too happy about being themselves, or they're getting too big for their britches, it is always good to knock them down a few notches and make them know that this is what they truly are, and this is what they can truly accomplish, and keep them in check both ways. But I think I've said what I wanted to say in this video, and expect a lot of more serious videos to come from me. But if you take anything away from this video, is don't bottle things up. Express them via poetry, writing stories, reading stories, playing video games, but the most important way to deal and cope with things is to talk. So, take anything away from that, take that. Alright, peace, love, harmony, and see you guys later, and expect more serious videos from me.